Hello, everyone, and welcome to My Curious Mind podcast. I'm Stephen Rulli, your host, and I'm so excited to have you join us on this journey of discovery. Every episode, we dive into thought-provoking conversations, exploring fascinating ideas, and uncover the mysteries of life that spark our curiosity. Whether you're into science, philosophy, personal growth, or just love to laugh and learn something new, you're in the right place. Before we get started, I did want to mention we do have merch. Please check the link in the bio to buy all things My Curious Mind and help our podcast grow. Also, if you're on Spotify, make sure you hit that follow button. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and like this video. So, grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's explore the world together. Are you ready? Let's get started. You're live. How you guys doing?
What's up, bro?
You guys survived the snow apocalypse?
Yeah, I don't do good in the cold, bro. I was inside. I was like, go out, have fun. Shut the door.
It's because you're all skinny and ripped now.
I know, I'm built for like the island weather.
I'm still built for a little bit of snow. I got a little bit more blubber on me.
You're still in hibernate.
But I don't know if you feel like this, but with like little kids, it's so easy to just eat everything. They'll be eating something and then they'll be like, I don't want it. And I'm like, well, I just took that whole meal.
Yeah, I find myself like making mac and cheese and I'm on my diet and I like want to lick the cheese off my thing so bad, you know.
Yeah, I'm not on the diet, so I just lick the cheese.
I just got back on after the New Year. I knew I wouldn't last Christmas. Too many cookies. Hurt myself a little bit.
What are you doing? Are you doing carnivore again?
Like on the primal, yeah, that works best for me. I feel like.
Because you don't have to just eat strictly meat.
Gav tried it out. He was like right borderline of a weight coming up for a tournament. So he did like 5 days primal.
Really?
You dropped like what?
3 pounds.
Yeah, 3 pounds. Just off. He didn't like cut any water or anything.
Yeah. I think that's the huge balance, especially when you're young. And like, that's the negative thing about wrestling, but also the positive because you want to wrestle a 220-pound mammoth of a middle schooler. But
yeah,
you also it's like, man, I should be a kid being I have to gain weight. I think that's what makes the good wrestlers great. The people that could be great wrestlers just good.
I like how schools, probably not around here, not so much, but they're doing like, you have your JV and your varsity team, but now they're doing like the freshman class to where it's just freshman tournament and stuff like that. I like that because I remember being a freshman and having to go against like some 18-year-olds who were like grown men, like tattooed out, like mustaches, and I'm like, just hit puberty like last year, you know, what the hell? And I just got, you get ragdolled. You feel the difference in strength. Kind of thing.
Luckily, I started when I was a junior, and I was all football muscle. So, and usually, if I got a freshman or sophomore, I could just do it. Then I wrestled 195.
And you were scrappy for the little bit when you wrestled when you were a kid. I remember why. Because Udi would always get nosebleeds and cry, and you always took it like a champ.
When I wrestled when I was a kid, I don't remember much of it. I always just remember always being in the championship match. One first place trophy. Was I not like okay with just not winning? Because then when I look at the trophies, I'm like, first place.
I don't think I have first place wrestling. So
when I got to high school, I got third. That's amazing.
Well, you got a couple medals built up. You got some kickboxing ones built up.
So once I kickboxing tournament set up, just like normal wrestling bracket, since you do both, what's kind of the difference between you going to a kickboxing tournament and you going to a
wrestling? You kind of just like see everyone who's your weight, and you know like a couple hours before who you're wrestling. What was kickboxing? They just like say your weight, come up here. You just like say where you're from, what's your name, who you're like kickboxing for, like what gym, and then they just give you like 30 minutes to warm up and throw you out.
Yeah, it's kind of more. They do the bracketing like right before you go out. Pretty much. I think this is last time we did it. I think they have a new software system now because I was thinking about competing in like one of their full contact events, and I'm pretty sure they do the bracketing ahead now, so they don't run into that. Because it was kind of like, this guy's 5 pounds off here and there, and then you'd have coaches be like, he's not fighting up, like you fight somebody this way, arguments, and so you're waiting to start. So it wasn't as organized, but I feel like they probably worked those things
So
out.
they do weigh in same day.
Yeah.
And so that's what's cool about club. I don't know if it's changed for high school, but they do a lot of day before weigh-ins now.
That would be
They do both. So you can go in the morning and weigh in if you want, but it's like Friday night or Saturday night they'll do like 5 to 7. You can come weigh.
That definitely would be a game changer because there was many days where I was like I could make 195 easy, but there was like talks like, hey, you can take 182, and I'm like,
I would hope they're doing that. So they do like satellite weigh-ins too. Yeah. So like if it's not a close school you're competing, you can weigh in the night before at your school or one that's nearby. So I would almost think that's better. Like you have like a Friday night or like the day before you have a satellite weigh-in at your school, even at a high school level. Yeah. And then you give the person like the rest to rehydrate. I mean, you might have some weight bullies for sure. Yeah. But I think it gives the person a whole day to rehydrate. And it's like,
it's so much healthier.
Yes, because I would kill my diet was so bad. Like I was telling him, like I was low carb, but I wasn't at the same. Like I would go low carb for most and like stay away from bread, and I would have like a sandwich when I got home and just throw like everything off because then my body's like, now we're low on carbs, we're not running off, not carbs, and I probably killed myself.
Yeah, well, I remember going to a recruiting visit for football, and the day after I had a wrestling match, Coach Snyder was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go play football." Don't go overweight, or I'm gonna be upset. I'm like, okay, I got you. So all these dudes are like, they went to Joe's Pizza and they're all eating pasta pizza. I'm sitting there eating pizza lettuce. I'm like, this sucks.
Oh, yeah.
And then going and then being absolutely, because I didn't sleep well because I was recruiting, so no food and no sleep, dude. I just got pretty around all night. People that I beat before, it's like, man, like if I could have just waited like a day before, I would have been so much. And then I could have ate whatever I wanted.
Yeah,
and it'd been better. But
I think it'd be a little healthier. But they do like the hydration stuff, so they give you like your allowance for the year.
Yeah, I think they pinch that though. Like they pinch, they give you an extra couple percentage because they said I could have cut to 170, and I was like, there ain't. I weighed 225 right after football.
I cheated that thing, so I cheated that test like every time. His work would always get around and it was coming. It wasn't supposed to. It was kind of supposed to. I remember I'd chug like 4 or 5 water bottles the morning of and just come in and piss like straight water, and they just like look at the cup. Like, so I remember the one girl literally asking me like, "Did you know you were having this test?" No.
Well, I think obviously the guys that were like, "Hey, I'm going to be dehydrated," got work. If you were in a good, just because of other schools. But I think we had a guy. He was one of the Bethalto like assistant coaches. The word got leaked to us, so we're all like, "Oh." But I never really had to worry because 195 wasn't too. Now the getting done with football, and then 2 weeks, 225, 195. That was kind of it was 200. Kind of the first 2 weeks was hard.
It's way easier, get yourself close with diet. Your he hasn't done any of that. I told him like we're not going to cut any water. Really, I wouldn't like to do it all personally unless it's like that's like school. Even if he wants to, I think stay back for
yeah. I think there's it's weird. This 200 words.
I don't realize like you got about most people about 8 to 12 lose before you're pretty strong.
Yeah,
that's why I was like, people do those weigh-in competitions that water cut.
Definitely feel like that. Trash.
Show up like this. I mean, you have guys hold you up and you can. What do you think? Yeah, do you like kickboxing or wrestling? Kickboxing. He likes competing in kickboxing. He's more natural for him, I think. But he's 1-2 this year. He got pinned in his first tournament. And he lost the second.
For wrestling?
Yeah. So we've kind of slacked this season with having the baby and people being sick. There's been a lot of sick people. Right. But we've only done one tournament out of like the 4 or 5. But then duels, we're making sure we're doing duels. But he's itching for some kickboxing though.
Okay. So for club, you were saying before the podcast, it's kind of like a duel in high school, like their club versus your club, and then
yeah. So about like 5 or 6 teams show up,
Something like
and then they kind of bracket the teams off, and then they decide.
Yeah. So now
you face every team there. That thing, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
So do they just keep so for the club in general, do they just keep kind of the weights and maybe one extra?
I think you're allowed so many kids per weight class, and it's like they have to be from 10 to 14 or 10 to 13. Yeah. So he competed last year. Did you get to wrestle? I think you were just like were you second?
I wrestled once.
You wrestled once. Was that it? That
it wasn't state.
Not at state. So yeah, you wrestled in duels. You were actually pretty good match.
Close.
State. Yeah, he was just a backup at state. They had some super close matches.
Yeah, there was 2 twins that were ahead of me that have been wrestling like their entire life.
It seemed like from what the coaches said, like I thought I've seen a little bit of it, but it was up north, like towards Chicago, so there was some Chicago teams in it, and the reffing seemed to be a little more. There was a lot of stalling, and not once there was a barely any stalling calls. There was people like freaking out in the stand. I'm not one of those people. I just kind of laughed, but I do agree that there seemed like a little bit of bias reffing, a tad bit. Not saying it would have changed anything. There were just some matches that were like kind of crucial to where you know how it goes. 1 point and the kid needs a reversal, and the kid on top is not like trying anything, like any offense. Like, come on, you got the ball. At least give a warning. The warning, yeah. But there was nothing. So he was just a backup then, and then towards the end of the year, like individual sectionals, he was wrestling good by then. Wrestling's like kind of starting to click. He was, what do you say, not thinking about it so much, just kind of going out there and wrestling.
Yeah. So the last time, Devin, you were on here, we talked that you had a podcast. So kind of walk me through what sparked the hey, I want to do this, because we've had some conversation one-on-one about like how we wanted to get into this, but we kind of at the same time were like, hey, we're just going to do this. So what kind of sparked that? Hey, I want to talk about combat sports with my son, and try to make a little bit of a side gig.
Well, you know me. I've always been into all the fighting stuff since I was young, and then he's been watching it since he's basically been born. But it's always like that kind of stuff. But we would just a lot of times be like driving in the car. And I'd be like, oh, "This fight's coming up. Like this guy's gonna smoke this guy," and then he start talking shit. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. That guy's old, washed up.
Yeah. You don't know what you're talking
about. So then said, I always kind of wanted to do one, but kind of finding something. I like yours because you kind of like Rogan. You know, you have you can pull anybody in that really wants to talk about something. Like this one is kind of like a niche, very niche group, like people, especially combat sports fans, getting them to listen. And then I want to get a little more interviews, like into the podcast. I think, but these last 8 months having the baby, it's like scheduling anything.
Especially you're in that where they just sleep all the time.
Every 2 hours, nap, cry, wants the food.
Yeah, I'm finally out of that, but sometimes them being awake is a little bit like, hey.
So
this the day you went to sleep?
So I guess we talked like 8 months ago, probably like right before I had the baby. I guess we kind of slacked towards the end of it. We didn't cover like several events. It just his schedule and my schedule. It'd be like 10 o'clock at night, or I'd be like, I'm gonna go put Ezra down, for his nap, and then we'll do a podcast, and then he'd come trying to wake me up, and I'm like, nah, buddy.
Yeah, it'd be like 11, and he's like, all right, I'm going to put Ezra to sleep. I'll be out there in 30 minutes. And I'll just wait in the kitchen for like an hour straight, and he won't come. So I just go to my room at like 1 in the morning.
So, yeah, there was a lot of that. Like, this baby tired, work tired. So, this year we plan on being a little more, hopefully with it, kicking it off. But start getting a little older and sleeping more.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Gavin is, being around your dad, was that just something that you guys clicked on, was kind of combat sports, wrestling, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, UFC, stuff like that? Just something that you were was forced upon you, or did you just all like, hey, this is kind of fun?
Yeah, we've always just like kind of, like, I've tried fighting him since I was a baby, and we always loved talking about, like, who's going to win this, who's going to win that. And me and my mom, like, we don't have, like, anything really, like, sports-wise in common. So, but me and my dad have always, like, watched combat sports together. So,
yeah. And I've heard some of your takes, man. You're the hot take king.
So I'll tell people my opinion.
So one of the fights that obviously everybody knew about, and it was kind of because it was over dramatized, but the Tyson Paul fight,
which we talked about.
You guys talked about, yeah.
When last time I was on, and we thought it was going to be like soon, and they postponed it.
Yeah.
Gavin, go ahead. Tell them your thoughts on that.
Everybody's like, "Oh, it's Mike Tyson, like 6-time heavyweight champion." Like,
we do love
out with
Mike
one
Tyson.
punch.
Give your love to Mike Tyson, though. You do love.
Yes,
Mike
Tyson. He
is Mike Tyson.
He's like 70 years old now, and he got just demolished by Jake Paul. I could see Jake Paul.
Oh. And Tom asked them all.
I hate Tom. He's not even good.
I hope one day, like, I'm hoping if we do blow up, one day he's gonna have to, like, look at these like guys.
They'd be like, yeah, when you sleep. So
what'd you think?
So I didn't really like the main fight, but the girl fight before, that was one of the best. I think it's the best female fight I've ever seen.
I didn't agree with it. It was best. Yes. I don't agree with the decision, though.
I agree.
I think that nobody really did, honestly.
I forgot what they scored. Wasn't it unanimous?
I think it was like, everybody was kind of what? Because there was definitely.
And I thought if it was going to be split, it would go to I forgot the girl's name.
I think it was like Soriano and somebody.
The girl that lost. I thought she won.
Did she cut her because of the headbutt?
Yes, that was it. Yeah, she was leading with her head, so it was like you really shouldn't count that as damage because that's damage from illegal shots. Yeah. Like if you were judging damage, I see how you would give it, but like you can't judge that. Yeah. And then the two dudes who fought before that, they scrapped. They were scrapped it out. That was good.
Well, what got me too was she got a point taken away from stalling.
Yeah.
And then it was still unanimous. I'm like, how did you?
Yeah, you would have had like a knockdown or something. There was some tomfoolery about, and then a highlight was them Tyson cheeks.
Yeah. I said that was from the Tyson Paul fight. That was the highlight.
And Jake's reaction, did you see that? Where he's like just looking at the screen like that. You could tell it wasn't scripted at all.
Yeah. Netflix needs to work out the kinks of doing live interviews.
They're going to have to because, apparently Raw is doing really good. See, they've like doubled their viewing since being on Netflix.
Yes, and it's only been 1 week, or it might have been 2 weeks now.
Yeah. But. And then, so UFC is in talk. That's kind of why they put the back burner on Conor right now with all his like legal issues, because they're trying to get this Netflix. So.
Yeah,
everybody's going after that.
Yeah, I don't blame them. I mean, it's an easy market, and pretty much everybody has Netflix or will buy Netflix.
And dude, I don't even watch wrestling, and I put Raw on the other day because I seen it at the top of the thing, and I just want to put something on that don't have to pay attention to really. You know, while I'm watching the kids. So I was one of the viewers, and I'm not even into it.
Yeah, I haven't caught it on there yet. I have a buddy. He's actually my neighbor up the road. And he's doing like he does pro wrestling, but it's just like at the lower levels.
That's the fun stuff.
Dude, he is everywhere. the hard thing is like when you're doing that, it's hard to develop a story with your character, especially because like yes, he used to go to Edgewood, Illinois on Thursday nights, which is like an hour and 30 minutes away. I went to one of the, and there was like 10 people in the stands. They're like, they're falling in love with these characters, and they're like, "Oh, who's your favorite?" So all these redneck dudes are sitting there. My guy comes out. I'm like, "Whoa!" Cheering them on, and they're all. Apparently, he's supposed to be the heel. I'm like,
Okay.
I don't know.
You're
this.
cheering.
It's like that's my dude.
Yeah, it's a grind. I think at that level for sure.
He does good. He's his problem is he's never really had to like work out or get like a workout, so he's just relying on catching up with them.
I was just explaining to a girl at work the other day, like she was asking about fighting or wrestling something, but I was like, your options out of college as a college wrestler are basically coaching, MMA, or WWE. Like that's it.
Yeah.
So I was like, and WWE is probably the most money.
You can go for the Olympics. Too.
Well, that's what I said too. But that's 4 years. Every 4 years you get to make a run. So you have like 3 or 4 runs. If you could,
if you could,
and you're not getting paid anything to pursue it unless you're doing one of those other things.
Yeah. Then my buddy Zeke, I had him on wrestling. He's like at that point now where he's all like, he's like, I can try UFC mixed martial arts afterwards, or I could like go and try to pursue however he does this year in the finals within the collegiate level, pursue the Olympics. And he's all like, man, that's kind of a cool option. It's like, yeah, I might go fight UFC, or I might go try to.
You're like, Olympics. Are you complaining? Or
yeah, but he's super like he's the best wrestler I've seen. Like been able to wrestle with and to just watch him grow and just to see like him wrestle against other guys in college and lose. It's like that must be an absolute.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest working dude I've ever seen in my life. Like he one day was like, "Hey, I'm gonna flip a tire," because it's
that's some old school shit. Right there. Gavin wrestled with his younger brother Bodie. So I've never seen Zeke wrestle, but I've heard nothing but amazing things. And Gavin's
Bodie's really.
I know Bodie's a good wrestler.
I think Bodie has the potential. He's a little bit more. Zeke's gonna punch me for saying this. I think Bodie's a little bit more athletic than Zeke, but Zeke's a little bit more determined than Bodie. But now he's starting to like
get more.
And he has his little podcast and like YouTube page. So I think he wants to win for exposure. Too.
Oh yeah,
because it'd be bad to have all that sucker wrestling. So.
Yeah, you gotta back it up. I'm thinking about doing I know I'm gonna get smoked probably but it's a open tournament. The guy who runs a MMA organization doing an open wrestling tournament. He's also a wrestling coach.
Yeah.
So there's like going to be a bunch of MMA guys that probably do it. I was like, sign up, maybe throw on a singlet again. But I know I'm going to get in there with probably some college wrestlers and just get smoked. So if that's the case, I'm not trying to I'm not going for gold. I'm just in there to, just have a good run.
If they do it like the way that mine was, they had 4 dudes in our bracket or whatever. But you're smaller, so I'm sure you way less. I should say you're smaller. You way less. In the thing, I was in the one, or no, I was playing college ball. So yeah, I was in the 220, and there was only 4 dudes that showed up. So, dude, I beat the tallest. He didn't really have a lot of skill. He was fast, but he was just super tall, and I was just like, he was like 6'6", and I was 5'9", and I beat him, and everybody's like, "Oh my god!" It's my only only highlight clip I've had. That's me beating.
Dude, that's how it goes some days. I mean, even the top guys will admit at one point it was like that. Like most guys have been the nail at one point, not just the nail. There are those freaks out there that have just destroyed and don't lose very much. But,
I think I actually took Zeke to that one. He talked. It was just an open one. There was an adult one.
It's just so I'm wanting to do an MMA fight in May. So I'm trying to talk to this promoter about getting on making my card, but that's in March. And I'm like, I just don't want to go blow a knee out over a wrestling tournament that I don't have any goals at wrestling anymore. I love wrestling, but so I'm on the fence about it. Like, it would be fun. I don't want to take it too serious, but I don't want to go against anybody there. It's like, but you can't do that in wrestling.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, you have to be like all in. So I'm just kind of like,
yeah, you can't. It's hard to play defense because then you're just getting shot on.
but I think my style with the combat wrestling, like I do a lot more leg riding than I used to.
Yeah.
I think I could make it play into my game a little bit. Maybe use a little bit of stuff to get some weird pins. Or also just go get my head blown off. That's what I have about.
Dude, that was my biggest weakness as a wrestler, and it was 195 is a weird because you got dudes cutting 220, like I did. But sometimes they just bump you up to 220. Be like, hey, you made 195 weight, okay, go wrestle 220. That's a dumb decision. But it happened all the time. If I had these like super tall dudes that were long and lengthy, but made 220, and they were just like, right. Pretty sure one kid broke my ribs, or like not broke my ribs, but like cracked my ribs or something. It was just because I couldn't move. Like, there's nothing I could do.
Like the upper body twisting, but
yes.
the bottom half, stuff like that.
And so I then ended up leaving the match like one off with like an injury. There's nothing I could do.
Dude, ribs, or I popped one out in the same. I was holding somebody down in head and arm.
Yeah.
And they were just bigger than me, but I held them down. But just being able to find to force them down and flatten, I literally popped their rib right up.
Yeah. So, Gavin, are you happy that you started at such a young age in combat sports?
Yeah, I'm really glad I didn't start in high school like this guy, because what's he doing in combat right now? Absolutely nothing.
Well, that's what I was telling him. I'm like, I didn't start training. I started judo first when I was 12, so I was his age. He's already got like years, and then his fight knowledge is like insane.
Yeah.
Like I had like I knew like an armbar and a triangle. He's seen like all the submissions. He knows how to call them. He's gonna be getting into jiu-jitsu, so that's gonna help like round that everything out. I feel like.
Yeah.
But right now, like his wrestling and kickboxing, wrestling is pretty good. Like he's starting to click. Kickboxing really good, and then putting them together like for MMA, really good. Once he's got the jiu-jitsu, I don't think it's.
So yeah. I that's my just for basic just living and athletics. I think every kid should do jiu-jitsu. So when Wesley and Addison get of age, I definitely want it for Addison because like I mean in college they offer like self-defense classes for these girls and they teach like striking. And so like if you get some freaking
Someone's like, don't say any like places or anything, but your mom. Remember when your mom?
Yeah. So my mom, she went to the place we train at, and they had like a women's self-defense class, and she told me about it, and I was like, okay. And we got home, and she told me to like grab her arm and try to put her on the ground, and I grabbed her arm and like blast doubled her, and she was on the ground, and I was just like, didn't really work, and she just got back up and like she was like, okay, grab this wrist and I'll try to get out. And she just like, it didn't work at all. It was like so funny.
Yeah, Brady took one of those classes in college. She came home, she's like, all right, let me punch you. I'm like, all right, I'll just sit here. She's like, I've been learning, so you're gonna have to tell me. She punched me and she's like, ah! She hurt her wrist. I'm all like, no. Striking classes should not be. I think jiu-jitsu, at least you have a chance.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're on the ground, you have a chance. You could slip in there and choke the guy out or something, but it's like pure, like, and they can cancel. Like, dudes, if you're an actual built dude, like, attacking, you're going to have more advantage. Because you're an actual built dude. And there's some sissies that I think definitely could get beat up by some chicks. But if you're a built dude, like,
there's some outliers, but like men have been caving skulls for like a long time, you know, like it's Carrie's one of those outliers. Like my fiance, I've seen her manhandle grown men, like and just so the fear that comes over their face. And like
I've been terrified of her for years.
That's what she like thinks is so funny when people are like tell her they're scared. She's like, I've never done anything. I mean, she has like I said, fought some people, but like
I went to elementary
so
school.
sweet.
She's always been solid. I've seen her on the playground. She
She always gets like, now she's like a mom and like chill. She gets so offended when she hears like, I've always been scared of her. She's like, I'm not me. Whatever. But yeah, she's one of those outliers. But it's just like anything. Like you can go to take one class of anything. You might retain 25% of that move.
Yeah.
You have to train consistently. Like those moves probably do work in those situations, but it's like you just don't want that. And like there was a reel going around I saw, and it was like a dude asking people on the streets, like, "You got in a fight? Like, how do you think you would do?" And the amount of people that were like, "Oh, I definitely win," and they like kind of had to like shadow box around, and you just see how like the one chick's like, "Oh, she's probably 150 pounds." Like, well, I'm just like, "Well, I'm a personal trainer, so I definitely know how to kick some ass." And she's like, you just watch her, and you're like, "Oh, I hope you never get in a real like life."
What gets
situation.
me is when dudes go to like the gym, they like, oh, they can just mess up anybody. And like I've had some guys who are like, "Hey, I'm working out now. Like, I can beat you up." So, dude, like I sucked at wrestling. I wasn't very good at kickboxing. I mean, I had fun, but I'm like, I would destroy.
Yeah, that's what I was telling him. Like the trained versus the untrained. Like there's like outliers, yes, but very far and few.
Yeah, like I said, like I was not like I was decent at wrestling. I shouldn't say I sucked, but I was decent at wrestling. Better when I was a kid than I was in high school. And then I trained Muay Thai for a year, and a little bit of judo in between. Throw Master Yoder and Jersey Bill Somebody. I did that a little bit in Taekwondo, and I'm like very, 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 very limited. There's like if a dude is just has done nothing. I mean, he might have been able to do like athletic. He just has done nothing, and like even goes to the gym a little bit. Like I'd still let like I will end your life.
Yeah, and it's hard because like I was a gym rat too. Like growing up, it's been a long time since I've been. I'm either or. Like if I'm off training, like I would like. Yeah. But I mean, you're building your ego when you're lifting. Yeah. Like I mean, you may say you're not, but you are. But you got to realize like there's a separation of ego between fight ego. What?
Bradley Martin. He's always telling me like some UFC fighters and boxers. Like you asking who was it? The dude that you bet money on.
Mighty Mouse. Was it?
No. That Ryan Garcia beat.
Oh, Gervonta. No, not Gervonta. Devin Haney.
Devin Haney. He was on there with Devin Haney, and like, I think you could beat me in a fight. And Devin Haney like literally told him that he would kill Bradley Martin. And Bradley Martin's like, "Oh, I love it. I love how this little guy thinks he can kill me."
Yeah. He's kind of delusional. He's a big dude, so he can strength his way out of a lot of stuff. But like we said, dude, I was picking him up. This is so funny. I haven't had this like happen yet, but this is probably first time for this situation. But I was picking him up from wrestling. I just got out of MMA sparring. So like I was in spats, which are like freaking yoga pants, basically, you know. And I got my fight shorts, rash guard, and my USA Wrestling beanie. Well, I'm going to pick him up, and I decide I'm going into the Dollar General. I'm pulling in, and there's a lady in the middle of the road. So I like stop. Well, the car behind me just like lays on the floor. So I'm like, just finger out the window, pull into the lot. Well, I see this truck like rev up, and he takes the other entrance in, and I'm like, bro, I'm not like, I'm warmed up. I'm not gonna let you punk me out. Like I don't want to get in a fist fight, but like also like, if you want the smoke, you can get it. Like, so as a dad, probably should chill on that. But like it's as a fighter, I feel like you take things so personal like that. So he pulls in. Like I immediately, by the time he's pulling up, I'm out of the car and like stance ready. And he pulls up, and I see him like rolling up slow as he gets up, and his window just comes down slowly, and he's like, "Hey, bro. Sorry for honking at you back there." And I was like, dude, I think I giggled probably. And I was like, "Bro, I don't know what to do." I couldn't go anywhere. And he's like, "I know, man. I feel like a dick, dude. I feel like a big dick." He's like, "I just hope you have a good night. I'm sorry for honking at you." And I just got back in the car, and I was like,
It's like when people trash talk a guy, and then they turn around and they see the cauliflower, and they're like,
"Yeah, my bad." We got to train with Hughes. Dude, that was a blast. Like, he was showing this technique where, like, here, I'll let Gavin show it to you, or show it on me real quick.
On your couch, we'll do some jiu-jitsu on the couch. This is why we're live.
I've never seen this in all my years of training. But he was talking about opening up the guard, and you just punch to the inner thigh and elbow there, and he's like, "You will wear guys like guard down before you know it."
It's so much fun.
So we're drilling like for an hour, and every time Matt would come around me and Gavin, he'd be like, "I think your old man's legs need softened up." And Gavin, so like my legs were so sore like for the next week.
Yeah.
But Matt told some stories like that, like getting in guys talking shit in bars, and then one guy out of the group of 8 realizing who he is, and you just see the whole like table just like,
no. So we have a little bar and grill up here. So I took my it was at Christmas time, so everybody should be joining the Christmas time. I took my buddy. He's been on the podcast. His name is James Gurley. He's black. He has a mixed son. And so we go there. This guy comes up to the table. He's drunk or whatever. He comes up and he looks at him and he goes, we're sitting by the pool sticks, and he looks at me and he goes, "Hey, can you grab me a pool stick?" I'm funny at that. I'm really good at making sticks or something like that. And so he laughs and he looks at my buddy Gurley and he's all like, "No offense, but the white guys pick pool sticks better than black guys." Where did that come from? And so he's all like, "But I'll take some black luck and try to dab up." He's like, "No, man." Like, because I'm not dabbing you up. Like, you just basically said black guys are worse at pool than white guys. So
that's great.
So then it's whatever. Like, the guy comes back and we're talking. He like once again he's wasted. Okay, they leave. So then my buddy gets his son. He's 14 now, so he's 8th grade at the time, maybe getting out of 7th grade. They go and play pool, and they're playing or whatever. The guy comes back in, and he's all like, "Hey, man, what'd you do with my car keys?" He's like, I lost my car keys. So then my buddy, he's a good guy, he's like, "Oh, I hope you look." Like, "No, I know you took them." And then he's all like, "Hold up, who are you talking to?" Like, so then I see this happen, and I'm like, "Oh, man, I'm going to have to kill this guy." Like, that's my first. So I get up. And so my buddy Gurley is like, he's basically the unvoted mayor. Right? Everybody everywhere knows him, whatever. So
the people's mayor.
Yeah. And so but he's like a 5'4" black dude. Reminds me of Kevin Hart.
Okay.
And so so the guy said something to him. He's like, "You know what? F your keys." And so they start going at it. So I put my hand on the guy's chest, and he thinks like I'm trying to
neutralize
him up, like neutralize him. He's all like, so he's just saying all this stuff about my buddy. I'm like, dude, like, if you don't stop, I'm going to have to. Like, that's what's gonna happen. It's like I'm gonna have to beat you up at the bar in front of my kids. Like, I don't want to do that.
So that's what I said the other day. I'm like, eventually you're gonna run into that somebody, and sometimes that somebody might have to be me. You know?
Yeah. So he's all like, "What? Like you? Like I wasn't on his side." And I'm like, "No, dude. Like I'm gonna have to beat you up for being racist to my buddy." So luckily, the bartender, who was just a big O, he looked like a left tackle. He came up and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I'm like, "This dude's about to get."
It's always nice to have a big guy to help you restrain somebody.
Yeah. So they kick him out. He's dropping the N-word or whatever. Gurley's like, "Have a good day. See ya." See ya. And so, but afterwards, so my wife's freaking out. She's all like, why did you go up? Like, she's like, "How did you know to like go up there? And like, how were you so confident?" Like, there's no doubt. Like, I did everything I did not to like, and I think that's the thing is like when you're a little bit trained in like, fighting, you don't seek out fights. You just know like, hey, like if this situation happens and it escalates, I know I can at least take care of myself.
Exactly. It's like it's that confidence like in yourself, where if it does escalate to that, like you know you can handle it yourself.
Yeah. Like, even if he was, like, a little bit trained, like, I'm all like, okay. Like, even if I get my butt kicked, I know I can protect myself in a way where I'm not going to die.
Usually that guy that flies off super aggressive at first is like, somebody's trained usually isn't going to do. I mean, you have some bullies out there that usually.
No, yeah. I was ready for him to wind up and do the little, because they always aim for the seconds. This little bit, and then I was just gonna let him do his 30 seconds. And I was just gonna think, just take him.
Yeah, that's what we said. Double or body line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. So you've been in a couple little tiffs. You always does all right.
Thanksgiving.
You got into a fight with a step cousin.
No, was it that though? I thought it was like Hunter's friend.
No, that's family of some sort down the line.
Yeah,
little bathroom fight.
Yeah. he stole my phone. Like, I was on my phone in a chair, and he comes up behind the chair and just grabs the phone. And I'm like, bro, give me my phone back. He's like, I'm not giving your phone back. I'm like, give me my phone back. It's my phone. And we, like, run across the whole kitchen, and there's that table in the kitchen. So we're just, like, doing this. And he locks himself in the bathroom, and I just, like, FBI SWAT the door down. And I get him pinned up against the wall, and I'm just going like this. And he's just eating shots, and he scrambles out, runs into the living room, blast double him on the floor. He's got like guard kinda, and I just like boom, 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 and then Hunter breaks it up. And I'm so mad that I'm like bawling. I'm crying.
I used to do that when I was little. If I got mad, I'd start crying.
And then he acted like he won almost because I was crying. He's like, good fight, man, good fight. And I was just like, I'm not shaking your hand.
That's not a fight. It's bullying.
Yeah.
We were just talking. Like, I don't promote, obviously, like, fighting on the street, but sometimes you can't avoid it. And jiu-jitsu helps neutralize that, so you don't have to blast anybody in the head. You can, same with wrestling, you can control somebody. Like, usually one good freaking slam onto the concrete, like most guys don't have too much fight in it. But I was just telling him, like, our instructors used to tell us when we were young, and I'd always just be like, yeah, whatever. But now that I'm older, it's like, you always tell the guy, they always told us, if you got, like, real beef, and the guy really, really isn't just talking, like, he really wants to fight you, like, tell him to come to the gym, sign a contract, and you guys can fight it. We'll be here to break it up if, like, somebody, really gets hurt, or however you guys want to fight, you fight. But he signed a contract, like, and then he can't sue you. Like, if you whoop that guy's ass, like, he can't turn around and sue you for breaking his nose, like, which in the real world happens a lot. Like, even guys that are living, like, run your mouth, even dropping somebody, they'll say, like, you assaulted them. That's hard to prove. Like, if you just say, like, you're defending yourself and all you did is grab a body lock, but, like, they're going to try. Like, most, especially
if they get their butts kicked, especially.
It's nice when you run into somebody who, like, you can have a good little squabble with and then go about your days, but that's far and few. It's either I want to sue you, I'm going to pull a gun, pull a knife. Like, it's rare to get a clean fight anymore on the streets. It's a nice privilege when it does happen, but it's been a long time for me. I'm retired on the streets. You got to meet me in the gym if you want it.
Yeah. No, I've been lucky enough to where that was my only, like, as an adult, like, absolutely like this dude. But you get a couple of lippy people at work, and you get time. If you really want to do this, I don't think you
They're all at first I started working everybody. It took them a little bit to find out that I trained, and then everybody slowly. And I'm so nice that everybody's like, "Damn!" I'm like, "Yeah, I got like that Jekyll and Hyde, like I'm nice and laid back, but like when you get me to 100, I'm like, I want to break you and then just beat you in the ground." Psycho, the inner psycho.
Some guys, it's always the loudest guys that talk. Like, for instance, your brother. Which he does, he means no harm.
Oh, but he can lay it on, bro.
He can lay it on. But luckily, I've never had to work with it. God, but man, they'll just lay it on, and then finally, when you're ready to do something, I'm just playing. I don't want that smoke.
Yeah, he every time we're together, which is like family functions, he's always like, when we gonna box? And I'm like, bro, you don't. I'm like, I'll kickbox you. He's like, no, we're just boxing. I'm like, you still don't want to box me. And he's like, I think. And I'm like, bro, we'll see. I said, one of these days I'm gonna have 2 sets of gloves in the car, and you're gonna regret it.
By then he'd probably be like, nah, man, I'm retired.
I think one good like left hook to the gut, and I think he's done.
So switching back to your guys' podcast. So you guys, I think you guys do a really good job of just like learn. Like, how do you guys learn so much about every fighter that you kind of do? Because I mean, even like there's stuff that like even the big name guys that you guys will say, and I'll be like, oh, I don't know that. Like, is there like what kind of research goes into like before you guys go on and actually do a little or discussion with each other?
For me, it's like I've played all the UFC games like my whole life, so I know what all the guys are good at. I know what their main, like if they're a jiu-jitsu guy, a boxer. I know like all their tattoos, everything, and just like TikTok.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's like my TikTok detective kind of.
Like I've learned a whole bunch of stuff about fighters, like even their backstories, like when they were little, and like I've never really researched unless I had to, but I don't know. I've just like always known about fighters. I don't know.
Yeah, like it's growing up watching it. And like he said, he's played every probably UFC game since that's came out since more. So he's like knows the rosters. Um, and then like he'll tell me stuff like he's saying TikTok, and I'm like, right, I didn't know that. That's cool. But and then same with me, like kind of growing up, there was like a good 4 or 5 years that I was out of UFC. So when I first got back in, there was a lot of names I hadn't, and I would always like bet on the old guy at first, but I feel like I've gotten better at that. But I'll look at the records, but you can't do like MMA math, and that's where like we'll mess up. Like we went this year, we're doing record. We're going to compete against each other, like to see who has the better record at the end of the year on get picks. We're both 7-7. We made a few different selections, but it's like you do MMA math, you can look like, oh, this guy beat that guy, but that guy beat this guy, but that does not mean that you can beat.
Yeah, I feel like in wrestling and in UFC, it's just like someone can try to take a risk and put their hand down.
And like you said, maybe you didn't sleep a little bit, like maybe you had a fight with the girlfriend or something, like you're just mentally just off a bit, like anything, dude. That's the one thing about competing on that sport. Like, you're never. Yeah, I mean, you might be. It'd be awesome if you're at 100%.
Yeah, you gotta be like perfect. Like if you're the champion,
that's the pressure of it.
And you like miss one leg kick and your hands are down, like that one missed leg kick could end your whole career.
There's a lot of pressure.
So one of the recent fights, probably the last big fight was John Jones fight. So kind of dissect that fight and what you guys thought about it.
Well, I didn't watch it live. I was at a buddy's house, and I like tune in every round, and I just like saw the highlights of the kick, and I knew that Stipe, his career definitely was already over then, and I just knew John was gonna get it done. Like same with Aspinall. Like I think people were saying, "Oh, his fight time's only like a minute. He knocks everybody out in a minute," and I think John is literally gonna go in there, see how he is in the first round, and then just like submit him to the second round.
You watch that some Aspinall stuff a little bit.
I've seen a little bit. Just
he has like hype, but it's like he's still kind of like like you kind of gotta be in the UFC a little bit.
Yeah. The thing about John Jones that everybody's like, I mean, they say he's the greatest. I'm still like I want to see him fight someone like right. I feel like he's kind of Floyd Mayweather.
Tom's working his way there. Like there's a lot of people that don't want to see that, and then like I've said it personally. Like I would rather see Alex Pereira in him.
Yes.
I just seen Jones tweeted like 4 days ago about fighting Alex. How he thinks it would be like they're both the same age. They're both in their prime. I would be cool with seeing both of those dudes fight, and because Alex would be triple weight. He would be a triple weight champ if he took that heavyweight.
Well, he's not middleweight champ anymore.
Well, not he wouldn't have all of them at the same time. Yeah. He would be a 3-division champ, which is like I don't know if that's ever been done in 2. Yeah. I'd be a legend fight. I'd rather see that than Tom. But people are like, you got to give Tom a shot. Like beat everybody to get it. I'm cool with either or. But dude, Jones is the best fighter. He's got the best fight IQ out of anybody. Yeah. But I think second is George St. Pierre. Fight IQ wise is why he was able to win. Like he may have gotten beat up.
See, I think Mighty Mouse is better than.
I'd say Mighty, right, and then GSP. Yeah. But his ability, like first round, this is why I think he does too. With Tom is like first round, you'll probably see like a few teeps, leg kicks, and jabs from Jones, and the rest is just going to be like he's so good at like he'll like feint his cross and he'll see your read. He'll feint his hook, he'll see your read, and by the time that second, third round, he knows exactly how you're going to fend when he throws, and he knows what shot. Yeah. That's what he did to Stipe. Like he just opened him up. Like first first a little bit, and then he just like opened him up.
Yeah, it was definitely slow beginning, but you could just tell he's just sizing it up. He's like, okay.
He's so good at download. That's his.
Cyril Gahn. Cyril Gahn is like a 3-time kickboxing world champion, and he literally just like looked how he was in the first round, and then in the second round, he just made him seem like he's never thrown a punch before, and then he just got him up against the cage and beat him.
Yeah, the fight that will never happen, but I wish it would because he's not in UFC anymore. Is Francis and
so there's been talks about. I don't know if it'll happen, but there was like a little bit of like, could we ever see that? Like, could they work something out? I don't know. Honestly, dude, I don't know how long that organization. It just switched from Bellator to
PFL.
Like a combo.
PFL bought Bellator.
Okay, so
and all the Bellator.
From rumors I've heard, they may have another year, but I'm not like no guarantees. So that would release his contract if they paid it.
But I feel like he'd just go to boxing again.
It's so hard to not make that boxing money.
Especially if you can get in with like what Jake Paul's doing. It's just like it may not be the prettiest fights, but you're making money. That's really what they're in there to do.
That was Nagano's whole thing. I think he cares more about money than like personal.
But and from him coming from such a horrible background, like he's like, hey, I'm trying to pay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he tried doing it for fighters too to show like it's the only thing, but it's hard. They have a new. We talked about it on the last podcast, but a new fight organization. They're doing team fights again.
Oh yeah.
So I like the idea of that. So you have to fill 5 weight classes per team, and then your team or third team.
Yeah. Doing that for UFC or boxing?
I can't remember what the company. It's MMA, but
okay.
Company. I know Cain Velasquez just took over. Like he's part of their management, or he's in charge or something. But
how long was he in jail?
A year. Do you remember that whole thing with him?
I don't. I know who you're talking about. This guy.
So he was he was Mexican heavyweight champ. He was so good. He was a badass college wrestler, but he just had heavyweight cardio like nobody else.
Yeah.
And he just had bad knees, bad back, got so injured he couldn't fight, would just postpone for a year. But I guess it was someone related to him, a babysitter or daycare worker, apparently like sexually assaulted their kid or like touched him.
Yeah.
And he found out about it, and he like apparently chased them down in a car and like shot into their car and shit, like tried to kill the guy. Yeah. And so he ended up doing jail time for it. But everyone was like, there was like free Cain stuff everywhere, because it's like anybody who, if you have a kid, that feeling like, yeah, I'm gonna kill that person that just did that. Like that's like your first natural instinct. So they tried like getting him for like premeditated and stuff, but in the situation it wasn't premeditated.
Yeah, it was retaliation.
Yeah. So he's out now and like coaching. Now he's got that job. So I think it all worked itself out. But I mean, I was like, you can't blame the guy. I mean, it's not.
That sounds like a guy.
You don't want to kill someone.
That sounds like a guy Dana White.
Yeah.
So do you like where the UFC is kind of, because it's really, I think it's caught a lot of fire within the last 2 years. Like, do you think it's just in due time, or there's something that you think is you kind of miss the good old days type of?
The good old days had their pros, but I mean, now I thought combat sports has been like bumping these since COVID. It's been.
They need to get these freaking Venom shorts and stuff. They suck.
I just bought you Venom shorts for Christmas. What are you talking about?
No, but I mean, like, the Venom shorts that they wear, like, they do not even look good. But, like, the Reebok, I'm not saying Reebok, because they did not do good. But their shorts, like, were so simple and good. And these ones, they got all these, like, lightning bolts and stuff on them that they can create. And it just looks stupid.
It is kind of like a little corny.
I think that's kind of like, you see it in football too, and you see it in basketball with their shoes, their cleats and stuff like that. It's like you want to try to give a little bit of creative ability to the fighters or the players.
In the same way, like football players aren't allowed to wear their sponsors and shit, right? So fighters can't either. So it's kind of a way to be like, you can't put your sponsors on, but you can customize yourself. Like make you feel like
Yeah, even if it looks absolutely garbage. But
But the Venom deal will be up in like I think they have 2 years left maybe, and then they'll source out again. They'll usually like
Or will they just resign?
I don't think so. Usually like you'll have multiple companies put in a bid. And
What if
the
they got
UFC will
Nike?
decide.
that's who I was thinking. I was like, I don't know how Nike has.
John Jones had a Nike. There's been a couple fighters that have had Nike, and that was
I
when he
think
got in trouble.
Demetrius
and that
Johnson,
deal.
he had Xbox. That was his stuff. Like you had Xbox Knockout and Xbox Store.
Yeah, that's cool. But that's why a lot of fighters. That's the only downfall of the UFC is you're sponsored. You can still be sponsored, but it's like they don't. Most companies don't want to sponsor. You'll have to do your own personal ads on your Instagram and stuff like that. Like you can't wear something out.
Yeah, which I don't know. The bad thing is, I think that would make the good thing is, I think that'd make the fighters more money, but it would make the UFC probably, I don't know, but I might make them more money, but I feel like it'd make them a little less money because it's like, okay, we got to do what our sponsorship do. So, like, I don't know, I'd try to put it in a contract where it's like, hey, if your sponsor is going to sponsor you, they also have to sponsor the UFC.
What if you just got a tattoo? What would they do?
Well, guys, if you watch organizations, if you see the paint, guys will do the body paint, like the logo paint. Oh, that's so weird to me. Like you literally look like a NASCAR, like out there fighting. But yeah, it's just weird. I get it to a certain extent, but because guys used to wear like the condom depot right on their butt, like all the time when they fight. Like there was some, like maybe do like a filter, like the UFC has to approve of the sponsor.
Yeah.
Instead of just whatever sponsor. Like guys were going to like strip club sponsors, like on the shorts. Like they don't want that on like Fox or like that. Yeah. So that's kind of when that stuff got.
So do you think that? I mean, I guess they're trying to work out this deal with Netflix. But do you think like they're doing strictly pay-per-view? That's kind of old, or do you think they'll still do? Because that's where they made their money was off TV.
No, you're going to see like they do with Hulu and stuff now. So your fight nights will be on there. You're probably going to have like an access to some fights. I don't think they'll give you full like the Fight Pass does, but they'll give you some of it. Yeah, Fight Pass will probably combine with them.
There's a lot of fight nights that are way better than pay-per-view. Like the St. Louis fight night that was like.
There's always some sleeper like fights on the fight nights. You get like the young tender guys that are like new into the UFC.
Who's the guy that is like I don't know if he is. I think he's pretty new. I think we talk about him all the time. He's just like he will fight like within 6 months of each other.
Prayer?
Is that it? I don't even think he's just absolutely dominating.
Yeah, it's who we want to see Jones fight. He just won Fighter of the Year. He main carded like
he's like 22-2 or something like that.
Maybe. Yeah, and he came in the UFC when he was 34 years old.
Is that the dude from? I think he's from Brazil.
Yeah, that's probably Jones is my favorite, but Alex is like my favorite.
Dude, Alex would sleep Tom Aspinall and John Jones combined.
And that's one I'll go back and forth. Jones.
Yeah, I think he has a lot of firepower. I like watching him fight, but he has a lot of firepower.
But he's also a black belt.
But we've never seen him.
He doesn't even need to go into the ground. He just sleeps everyone.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen him. I don't think I've ever seen him.
I think Jones beats Aspinall as well, but I think Pereira and Jones is like a toss up. Yeah. Like whoever can implement their game plan and get the finish first.
Yeah. So the next fight that's coming up is an Islam fight.
No, it's Umar Nurmagomedov versus Merab.
And there's another big one. Because there's like this next card is stacked, dude. I was just looking at it.
Yeah, Jamal.
Okay, so Makhachev. Yeah, we got Makhachev and Sarukian, which they fought. Sarukian is ranked number 1 right now.
Yeah,
bad dude. But they fought. Sarukian's first fight in the UFC was against Makhachev back like 20, and it was a pretty good fight, but he decisioned him. So it's kind of like one of those things. Both guys have gotten a little bit better.
Yeah.
I think Makhachev wins it.
I think Sarukian.
This one right here, though. So this is the one Gavin's talking about. It's Merab Dipaswili, which is Merab beat Sugar Sean for the belt. This Umar Magomedov dude, he's 18-0. He's just like everybody. Yeah, it looks like Khabib. I mean, the dude just like killed it since he's in the UFC.
Yeah, so he's gonna win.
It's and Merab Marab's a plus 260 underdog, so it's like for a champ to be that big of an underdog is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
We got Jamal Hill versus Yuri.
Yuri's still.
That's going to be somebody's going to sleep in that fight, like for sure. Dariush versus Moicano, which Moicano is always fun to watch. He always lays down like a crazy promo afterwards, and like it's fun. We got Ritter, which he was a champ. He was a champ in a different division, came over, and he looked a little lackluster in his last fight. And he's fighting Kevin Holland, so you can't be lackluster with Kevin Holland. Yeah. And dude, that's what I mean. Like Goosekov, Johnny Walker, Peyton Talbot.
All these big guys.
Yeah, and you got early prelims. This whole card is like from the beginning to the end.
Yeah. It isn't I can't ever say his last name right, so I just call him Islam. But is he part of Khabib's fighting family? I feel like that freaking team is not even fair.
The Dagestani clan. Yeah, man, they're next level. The guys who won Team of the Year this year were the Fighting Nerds. They're like that. You'll see them a bunch of Brazilians and they put on like these nerd glasses after all their fights. They were like 11-0 this year. Like you're gonna have to watch their guys. They're all gonna be like pretty.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, you guys are now live on Spotify and you've got like not a YouTube deal, but you guys are.
So it's like
on YouTube now.
We're just audio on Spotify and iTunes, and then video on, and then we got shorts on our channel and stuff like that. But yeah.
Well, Gavin, where can the people find you wrestling at, or what club? Shout out your club on.
But also Bulls. Is what I'm fighting for.
They were tough when I was.
They're always tough. They got a good reputation.
Yeah. So you got any big matches coming up? Or?
Duels in a couple weeks.
Yeah, 20.
Well, throw your Instagram or something out there.
He's got a TikTok.
We'll throw that out there too.
Yeah. Other than that, just keep an eye on the podcast. I might be, like I said, I don't know if I'm gonna do the wrestling thing, but I'm for sure trying to find a fight like here. So I'll let you know if I'm doing that, man.
Yeah, we'll coach out. We'll get your guys' podcast in the little bio and your merch too.
Yeah,
so my dad bought merch.
I know. He sent me a thing. I'm like, hell yeah! I was like, I seen him at Halloween. We were chasing the kids all over. I said hi to him for like a second, but yeah, it was good to see your parents out.
Well, it was good seeing you guys. Thank you guys for coming on. Yeah,
thanks for letting us do a little jits on the couch. Nobody. I'm surprised he didn't try to attack me more.
Next time we'll just have a full-fledged match, and that'll just do the podcast.
I want to do a little more interviews this year. Yeah. Like I said, I'll try getting you on.
Yeah. I don't know much, but
we still break down fights and have a good time. I want to get some of my old buddies on that I haven't talked to in a while that we used to watch fights together and just relive the old UFC days. But yeah, man, we appreciate having us on, dude. Glad the podcast is doing good.
Thank you guys for listening.
See y'all.